So I know my last two videos have badmouthed Renegade a little bit. I mean, my buying guide only touched on that. I promise I have other content in the works. It's just that it's taking time to edit. And I felt like I needed to talk about this, even though, again, I didn't think I was going to. But I needed to get this out because, oh my god, Renegade cannot stop messing up. I don't want to keep making these videos, seriously. I mean, it's a little bit cathartic. You know how when your friend borrows your really expensive Ferrari and they invite you and all your friends along for the ride, but then they want to turn right down this one road and you say, no, that's not a good idea, and all of your friends are telling them that's not a good idea because they've been down this road before and your friend hasn't. But then this friend gets so mad that you're disagreeing with them that they kick you out of the car and then drive the car straight off the cliff. And then it's a little bit satisfying to watch, but also really sad to see something so beautiful burn in a totally avoidable accident. Anyway, I forgot where I was going with that. The point is, I'm making this video so you as a consumer and as many people as possible are aware of all of the mistakes Renegade has made as possible, and you can make your decisions from there. I just realized I spelled mistakes wrong in my script, so I guess I'm also accountable for these crimes. Let's start with Gen Con. At the time of filming, Gen Con is just about 2 weeks away, maybe a little bit more depending on when I get this published, and we've not heard a peep about the Battle Network. That's not a mistake per se, it's just funny that they spent so much time lauding their organized play on all of their reveal streams and lauding the Battle Network specifically in their last stream, only for it not to even be functional like 14 days out from the tournament. If you need help with army building, head over to Heroscape.org where you'll have all your needs met. They have VC inclusive, Delta inclusive, all of the AOA stuff, everything you could possibly need to prep for Gen Con and or ScapeCon, or your home or local tournaments in the future. Moving on to the Gen Con maps, I'm actually going to give Renegade a little bit of credit here. I know, surprising. Despite announcing that they would be using a mix of Renegade and community-made maps, Heroscape at Gen Con announcement showed that they were going to be using all community maps, which is good for them. I can only imagine the maps that they had were unusual, which is not a surprise. S. Rowan, formerly in charge of unit design and playtesting, got relegated to scenario design after the playtesting fiasco last year. Now it seems like they're not even bothering to use their maps with Gen Con, which makes sense because Rowan literally has no map building experience. Serious question. Where can I find a job like the one Rowan has right now? I know that if I spent 8 months diddling around at my company and making things so bad that they couldn't be released to the public, which means I essentially got paid for doing nothing, I probably wouldn't have a job anymore. I want to get a job like that. I'm so tired of having to be competent and produce results. Ugh, it's so exhausting. Rowan is probably also a good explanation for the error with the battle box content and the rulebook scenarios. A keen-eyed mapmaker noticed that the images released by Renegade don't seem to match the terrain in the rulebook. Now, supposedly the original terrain list was wrong and the rulebook had the correct contents. But Mega Silver ran an AOA map contest, and since the terrain was all messed up, it kind of means that none of the community maps can technically be made from one single battle box. They'll make it work at Gen Con, you can just pull bits of extra terrain, but this is just screw up after screw up by Renegade. People want to be able to make these maps right out of the battle box and slam these badass units down on them. Or they used to be badass anyway. I didn't even touch on this in my last video, but the lore for Heroscape Age of Annihilation is so terrible now. To clarify, I mean it's poor both from a technical writing perspective and also from an overall story perspective. Let me give you some examples of both. Ziamara is not the strongest of Ular's followers, nor is she the swiftest or the most clever. It is her bravery that has never been questioned and her loyalty that stands out among her battle siblings. Or my favorite one, Kilkarax is not Revna's first follower, nor is she her second or her third. Oh my god. This kills me. Like, that's implied by the first sentence, right? If I'm painting some units and you walk in and you see me blending colors perfectly and you're like, wow, that's so impressive. And I say, yeah, this ain't my first rodeo. Your next question is not, oh, is this your second rodeo? Or even, oh, okay, so this must be your third rodeo then. I just have rant in brackets in my script here. It is This is truly terrible writing. Some of you may not know this, but I actually have my own new adult sci-fi fantasy series. They sit right behind me on the bookshelf, and people seem to quite like them. Now, I'm no Stephen King, but it's very clear to anyone with any level of writing experience, and even to people without that, that like, this was written by someone with 8th grade mastery of the craft. You know what they always teach in writing? Tell, don't show. Not to mention the story direction they're headed is super weird. Let's take a look at the Necrotech Wraith Riders and Bogburna's bio. Floating in the void of space, bereft of air to breathe or dirt to touch, the Necrotech Wraith Riders were doomed by their planet's destruction to a harrowing unlife of endless loneliness. In a desperate gambit, these three linked their chains, holding their bodies close together and preventing total isolation in the void of space. The Wraith Riders cannot remember what their chains were used for, probably they were meant for war, and the Wraith Riders were many in number. That doesn't matter to them now they're only 3, and they'll hug one another until the end of time. Or from Bogburna, Morrow, like any sentient species, have varied cultures. Some revel in a cruel caste system, engineering their own kin from birth to be servants and workers. But others are more egalitarian. To them, the hive is a source of comfort and a way to feel belonging with their fellows in a harsh world. Oh my god. When the sinister Valkyrie General Ukar summoned Morrow indiscriminately to serve him, some were inevitably from different hives. Thus, Bogburna has been separated from his kin. He misses them terribly, and he'll do anything to make Ukar and all the Valkyrie pay dearly for the emptiness he now feels in his soul. No! So they're just like sad, lonely dudes that miss their families? This is such a missed opportunity. And I know no one really cares about the lore, but this is, again, just another example of Renegade messing up every single facet of this launch. Was it really too much to commission a creative writer to make a story thread for Age of Annihilation? This would probably cost you like $5 per bio, and then you would finally have a high quality and compelling story for the product you're putting out. Speaking of high quality, let's talk about the Disastrous Sir Heroscape unboxing videos. And by Disastrous, I mean for Renegade. Sir Heroscape made several unboxing videos for each piece of Wave 1 of Age of Annihilation and did a great job. He went through every part in detail and reviewed them fairly. One thing that flew under the radar after the big thing, which we'll talk about in just a second, was the shoddy paint jobs. I mentioned an adjacent topic in my buying guide video about how I can't stand the color schemes. The color choices make no sense and don't really seem to mesh with Classicscape. However, I figured the quality of the paints would at least be acceptable, especially considering the extremely high premium you're paying for these. And of course, that they've been touted as premium paint jobs from Renegade for months. But in Sir Heroscape's boxes, at least, there were issues.
I thought this was just a helmet and that was her face, but it looks like her face was painted silver as well. So that might just be a miss on the paint job. Not gonna lie, the gray kind of looks unpainted. It doesn't look as metallic. See, like this looks metallic. This is gray. Possible this one was a mess up or something, and that's okay. That's okay if it was.
It's really not. We have to assume that this is what everyone will be receiving in August. I've heard through some back channels that the product is already made, which means it's way too late to fix any of this. I'm also told that these are actually painted as intended, which is wild. That's just not an acceptable level of quality, but it's sort of what you would expect from a company that let this now infamous, impossible to read Game Trade magazine article slip through the cracks. There are segments of the community that are so quick to defend Renegade when they make inconsequential mistakes, like the Game Trade magazine article, or when they mirrored the 24 hex so people thought we would be getting a different product, but then it turns out that was just an editing mistake. The argument is that since these mistakes are inconsequential, we shouldn't be criticizing Renegade for them. But this is what happens when you have a long and storied history of making small mistakes. You start to make big ones. And this one, it's big. Roll the clips. Oh yeah, I don't have an editor. 1 second.
It's actually pretty snug from what I can tell. Let's see, is it? So notice it's not quite sitting still. Huh. It looks like this piece on the inside here, see how that hex, that's part of the hex underneath it? It looks like the base of the jungle piece isn't getting over that. See, so I added these two hexes on the edge, and even though they're connected, it goes back to being off here.
Jesus Christ. So I hope you haven't ordered anything with trees yet, which would be the jungle set, obviously, and the battle box. If you have, well, got some bad news for you. It ain't gonna fit with your stuff. When this video went live, people were very quick to point out the glaring flaw. Sir Heroscape covered this a bit more in depth with his jungle terrain expansion unboxing video, and he very cleverly figured out a solution to making these tiles actually fit.
By chopping off this piece of the plant, that was not the issue. And so I went in and I went and shaved down. See all the damage that you can see on the sides? I took just a pocket knife, or you can use a craft knife, and I shaved down those edges. And so I quite literally out of the box had to take these and take a knife to a new product to shave them down to make them work.
Oh my God. So you're telling me that for $50, I get the honor of filing down every side of every hex of every tree that comes in every box that I buy? What a deal! The one thing they promised, the one thing, was that this game would be compatible. And Renegade is so incompetent that they couldn't even manage that. Now, it is genuinely astonishing that this is the product we're getting. As Sir Heroscape says in his video, it's truly baffling that this got past quality assurance. However, I think I might have an explanation. Unfortunately, the explanation is kind of the worst case scenario for us, the consumer. Renegade pumped out an initial PR statement saying that they were looking into it. Boilerplate, PR stuff, they obviously weren't expecting this. The important thing here is that they said they'd have an actual statement within a day or so, and they held true to that. And the actual statement was rough. Hey everyone, I wanted to give you all an update today on the situation with the Lauer jungle trees. The team is actively working on investigating the issue. At this stage, we are running multiple tests against different samples to see if we can replicate the issue and identify abnormalities from the expected functionality. We want to do our due diligence to gather all the facts before providing a comprehensive response to avoid including any incomplete information and leave no room for confusion. We'll have a full response to share as soon as we are able to cover all of the necessary bases. This process involves many people across multiple time zones, so takes some time to be done right. We appreciate your patience. So they don't have an answer yet. And they try to obfuscate their elucidations behind these substantial verbulations to make it very unclear what they actually mean. They have no idea what the problem is, and they don't know how to fix it. Whatever they've got at their offices or at their homes, since they're pretty much all remote, works. Which means they have no idea what went wrong at the factory and have no idea how to fix it yet. That is so embarrassing.
Figure out what the crap happened and fix it. Like ASAP. Like, not ASAP like yesterday, last week, last month, last year. I don't know how you go this long without finding that. There's no words to describe how that amount of failure for an item like this can be an issue. I don't know how you never took a piece and put it on top of a hex and realized they did not align for this piece.
Two answers here. They have no idea what they're doing or what the terrain is even used for, so they just didn't. Or they did, and whatever they did worked, but some mistake was made somewhere down the line and they never bothered to actually check the finished product, which is just astonishing, to be honest. I really don't know what the solution for this specific product is here. At the very least, they need to issue some sort of refund for the products, and obviously it would be great to have these printed properly down the road so we can actually get these jungle sets. But they probably won't be able to fix that in time for the Wave 1 launch, certainly not in time for Gen Con. You obviously can't expect customers to modify a brand new product. That's just a faulty product. It simply doesn't work. When Renegade sent Sir Heroscape this product, they probably thought this would be great marketing. He's such an enthusiastic guy and he always gets me excited to play Heroscape. But check out some of the comments on his video. I expect either a refund or a correction to the tree sets and even my 2 battle box sets. This is the deal breaker. This needs a recall. There's no way I'm going to buy any Grove sets if they don't fit. Will not be picking this up until the quality issues are fixed. I plan to cancel my order tomorrow. Canceled my pre-order thanks to your video. Alright, that's it. The whole thing backfired. You're losing customers thanks to these unboxing videos that should have been a huge pull. What did Renegade have to say in the rest of their statement? In the meantime, I hope everyone enjoyed the Heroscape playthrough and how to play videos that dropped this week. Oh yeah, they got the Matthew Mercer to play a game of Heroscape, and everyone forgot about it because they messed up so bad. All of these problems that Renegade has had from the beginning stem from two things. One, you had a bad hire and you refused to let go of them. And two, there is no proper structure for your organization, no leadership for the project, and no clear vision for the game. Renegade does not care about Heroscape. They only care about money. This was my way of pleading with them during playtesting. I have said to the community, to my audience, and to Renegade directly for almost a year that if they continue down this path, the game will fail. They need to make some changes, and maybe this will finally be their wake-up call. Renegade, you hired Rowan. And after producing nothing but ill will from the community for 3 months, instead of letting her go, you relegated her to scenario design and map making adjacent things. Obviously, nothing will change how much time you wasted with playtesting or how many bridges you burned with the community thanks to Rowan, but as long as you have her in your machine, you will be slower than the Granite Guardians and continue to make mistakes. There is a reason that there are no Renegade maps in the Gen Con pool. There's also a reason it took so long to get the maps out. There is a scenario event at Gen Con, which is now Rowan's specialty. They needed her approval to get the wheel turning, even if they decided not to use any of her maps. It should not take 3 people months to make a decision. There is no one in charge of Heroscape. There is a running joke among the community that Lee Hoff's entire job is running around waving her arms trying to get other people's attention when problems show up. She is the game producer. Why does she need approval from anyone? Why isn't she making every major decision and relegating these to other employees? You want to have this lateral organization, but that doesn't work for a project like this. You want to be in charge of things, but you don't even check up on the project. You need vision. And I mean you, Scott G and Dan, whatever his name is. Bilzerian? Can you imagine if Dan Bilzerian was in charge of Heroscape? Yeah, so we're gonna need like 100 more guns in this game, and also it's not a game, it's just an indoor shooting range. Oh, Raylan? Yeah, she's invited to the pool party. I am talking to you, Scott Gata, directly now. You run a company. I get it. You're busy. If you don't have the bandwidth to check in on your playtesters for 3 months and then come back to an absolute dumpster fire where all progress has ground to a halt because you hired someone spectacularly incompetent, that's on you. That is 100% your fault. It is also entirely your fault that you chose to support your employee over dozens of ostracized community members and refuse to communicate or listen to any of the complaints brought against them. However, you wouldn't have to do this if you actually had someone in charge of Heroscape. It is insane to me that Lee Hoff, the game producer, is not in charge of anyone else. By making everyone lateral on the community flowchart, you've created the slowest chain of communication ever and made it impossible to get anything done in any facet of the game, both in design and production. If Lee has to talk to Rowan about the scenarios, who has to talk to Trevor about the maps, and yes, I know his name is Trevor now, even though Trevor McGregor is not a real name. Welcome to Rye Guy Plays Games. I'm your host, Ryan McBrien, who has to talk to Lee about the tournament structure, who has to talk to Rowan about the maps. It just creates a difficult environment that's inefficient for productivity. So here's your solution, and I'm giving this to you for free. Give Lee a promotion, presumably also one that comes with a raise. Did you know that Lee has wanted to hire or at least compensate in some way community members that they've been consulting for months now for free, but can't because it's out of her control? Give her unilateral authority for Age of Annihilation. Make her the superior to Rowan and Trevor and the new designers, whoever they are. Let her consult the community. Let her bring on War Council members, VC designers, map makers, painters, editors. Let her make hiring and firing decisions. Let her make story and product designs, and let her onboard a co-producer to deal with the day-to-day gritty work of getting this done. Let her integrate reactivate the community with Renegade and bring back some of the support that you have lost so much of, and I'm sure you will have almost none of after this product hits the shelves and people open up the box only to find they can't use it. Sorry, I know this part of the video probably isn't very interesting to my audience watching, but you know what? We need change. They are selling you flawed product and charging you a premium for it. But I don't think it's too late. I really think this could be the solution to saving Heroscape, because as much as you don't want to hear it, the game will be dead again at this rate in 2 years, and I don't want to see that happen. So here's what I'm going to propose, and here's something we all can do. Grab the link for this video, and then grab the timestamp where I start talking to Scott, which I'll put right here. Do me a favor and send this video with the link and the timestamp over to Renegade's customer service, which I'll link in the description. Scott G also has a blog that he hasn't updated since 2019. Feel free to send that there. You can also find him pretty easily on the Renegade Discord, or drop this in the main chat if you're feeling brave. I believe it is not too late to make changes. Do I wish these changes had been made a year ago? Of course. And do I have any expectations from this video? Of course not. But if I've learned anything from rolling for Mindshackle, it's that it doesn't hurt to try. So drop this video in any Renegade content you can with the hashtag #SaveHeroscape, because I would love to stop making videos about this stuff. Thank you so much for watching. Please leave a comment, even if it's just hashtag #SaveHeroscape, or let me know what you think about Renegade's latest blunder. It really helps me out, and I read every single comment, so let me know your thoughts. And leave a like if you think that Renegade can still redeem themselves. Now I'm gonna go drive my car off a cliff and then wonder where I went wrong. Bye. Has this ever happened to you? You're making a video about how Renegade cannot stop messing up, but then, right when you finish editing the video, they mess up. What are you going to do? Well, now there's a solution. Try improv. Will improv really work for me? That's right, improv can work for anyone. Whether you're hastily typing away at a loosely defined script, or you're just riffing off the cuff and you have nothing better to say because they messed up so bad and so quickly that you didn't have time to put anything together. And now you're making an infomercial that was hastily conceived as a joke last night, but now you feel like you have to stick with it. And wow, this guy is talking way too long. Look at his stupid face. How is he talking so long? Why is he still going? Oh my God. Oh my God, please stop talking. There's more? That's right. There's more. If you buy now, you can get a hastily edited video and bad graphics. Oh, okay. All right. He's just interrupting. Try improv today. Hey, folks. So it's a different day. Clearly, I just woke up. I've still got bedhead. I had this video finished, exported, like it was ready to be uploaded. And then last night, Renegade released an updated rules treatise and organized play document that rocked the Discord and hasn't quite leaked out to the Facebook yet. It's bad. This is unscripted. This is all off the cuff. It is atrocious. This might be the worst thing they've done, and that is with the faulty Tagala jungle trees. The rules document is a total disaster. I'm borrowing Mike Oyeo's summary of some of these things here, just because I haven't even had time to read like the full comprehensive thing, because it just happened. I've skimmed through it, and it's, first of all, terribly written. It wasn't proofread. But some highlights here. One, mimring doesn't affect figures in order of the line. Instead, it's the attacker's choice on the order of defending, which is in direct contradiction to the Rise of the Valkyrie rulebook. But it's not on the card, so that's why. You are capped at 20 always on a d20, even on an initiative roll. That makes no sense. If I have Dagmar and Cap 1's initiative advantage, you're telling me that I can roll a 19 and still tie with someone who just rolled like a nat 20, or like someone who's on load in and we both roll 19s, they get a +1, I get a +11, and we still tie and have to re-roll. That's ridiculous. Three, you can control two of the same unique and may even have them in your army. You just can't begin the game with multiples of the same unique. So that is referring to the Mind Shackle rule, which states that you can, in fact, Mind Shackle an opponent's unique figure that is the same as in your army. Now, this is like game breaking in a sense. Olganesh was the obvious example people were talking about. But you just imagine like having two, you're playing Romans with Nigax and Miberxa, and you mind shackle someone else's Miberxa running around with their Death Chasers, and now you have two Miberxas that you can bond with like that. That is atrocious. That is an atrocious rule that goes against all convention and any rule set beforehand. And that's not even the worst part. We're getting to the worst one here. Uh, the next one is you can flip a double space figure anytime during your turn, not just when moving. Makes sense because Q9 isn't good enough. Yeah, that's terrible. Also for Nilfheim, as a frequent and well-known Nilfheim player, I will say that it comes up quite a bit, possibly even like once per tournament, where in order to get all three targets for the ice shards, I would have to flip Nilfheim in the middle of the attack, which you're not allowed to do currently. That's really strong. I mean, stuff like, ruins and pillars hide things from Nilfheim. If you're playing against Nilfheim, you need that. I mean, it's such a good figure. It's an extra attack or two. He's so tall that if you're able to flip him, you can pretty much see everything on the board. So there's basically no line of sight that can hide you from Nilfheim, which is, again, just an atrocious ruling. The line of sight for this wasn't presented in Mike's rules that I'm summarizing from. The line of sight for figures needs to be for all affected figures. Now, Deathwalker 9000 is called out by name. Zelrig is not. This affects like any explosion attack. Also, Quahan, who currently does not need line of sight to all affected figures because you draw a line of sight from each targeted figure. And also for Zelrig, you can incinerate 5-6 Roman legionnaires, and one of them will be watching from 3 inches away, and be totally fine because he was tucked behind the edge of a wall. And even though he's adjacent to the targeted figure, Zelrig can't see him, so I guess the explosion physics sort of curl around him. Also ridiculous, makes no sense, goes against the literal official ruling. Just terrible. And then the worst one, and I believe this is from the tournament play rules now. You need to bring one army card per copy of every common card in your army. Can you imagine? And remember, these need to be official cards too. These need to be official cards. So first of all, the fact that I would have to bring an extra, 5 or 6 cards to every tournament, depending on what I'm running, insane, absolutely insane. Requiring, there may be people who have official product that won't be able to play it now because they don't have that many official cards, because all the cards need to be official too, right? And then can you imagine playing Wormlings or Kurok and having to sit there while you lay out 50 cards on the table? Hey, you must be my round 2 opponent. I'm Ryan McBrien. Nice to meet you. Oh, I'm Brian McRyan. Nice to meet you too. What are you running there? Oh, I've got 20x black Wormlings. 1 second. Could you move your water? Could you move your dice too? They're kind of in the way. Could you move your cards, like just get them off the table? Hey, excuse me, could you move your sweater? It's kind of in my way. Thank you. I don't remember what card I'm on. Could we just move the map? It's like really in the way of these cards. Yeah. And 20, okay. Think I'm ready to play. What are you running? Oh, I'm running Kurok and 50 fire elementals. 1 second. Like, it is so absurd. These rules are so oppressive for players. Obviously, people are upset at this. They're making rules to be worse. They're making rules that make no sense. They go against the convention of the game. This is one person's fault. This is Rowan's fault. I'm not sure where I'm going to put this in the video. I think I'm just going to shove this at the end. So I've already talked about everything, but I'm going to say it really, really explicitly now. Rowan needs to be fired. This cannot continue. There's talk of a petition to cover the rules, to petition to change these rules, which I think will probably be changed considering how much vitriol they got immediately following this compared to like anything else. Like this would have been on the level of if they changed the army cards. Like people were really upset about this because there's a lot of stuff now that they can't play at Gen Con. It's so inconvenient. Okay, I'm so serious now. We're going to get hashtag save Heroscape trending. This is bonkers. They are turning people away from the game again and again and again. It's so clear that they have no regard for anything that came before them. I'm not even sure it's incompetence at this point. I thought it's that they were just so bad at their jobs, but I truly think it's more a combination of arrogance, of feeling like they know better, feeling like they can just understand 20 years of the game. And this isn't to sound like I'm gatekeeping, because a new player could come in. I swear to God, someone who's never done anything with Heroscape could come in and do Rowan's job and do a better job just because they would look up the Book of Mimring to find out what the ruling was for that before they wrote it down. If you want to make a new game, do that. But they have marketed this as a continuation of Heroscape for so long, and now the terrain doesn't fit with the old terrain. The rules doesn't fit with the old terrain. The way people play the game doesn't fit with the old game. And to be frank, they haven't made a good enough new game for me to want to play that over the old game. I'm never going to Gen Con if I have to find all official figures and all of their official cards too. That's the thing. So much of my collection is 3D printed. Why would I spend $50 on one squad of Knights of Weston and one of their cards when I could spend $50 to get 100 squads of my own printed and painted Knights of Weston and a card for each of them? As someone in the chat said, Heroscape is not going to die, even if Renegade only lasts a year or two. But I'll be honest, I would like to see Renegadescape last more than a year or two. As much as I bash against Renegade, I do want to see them succeed because I didn't have disposable income when this game originally came out. All right, I was like 6 and I wasn't buying tons of new product. That's why, I only own probably half of the original stuff and it's some more basic stuff. I want Newscape to succeed because now that I'm an adult, I want to be able to buy all of it. But you know what? I still haven't ordered the Wave 1 product because I've been waiting for God knows why. I guess I had some sort of divine knowledge deep down that they would screw up something else about the product. And then this is just turning people away from the game. And I'm sure this just sounds like an angry nerd ranting online. Really, I'm just tired. Like I'm literally sleepy because it's early. Because I still want to get this video out today. But I'm also just tired of these mistakes. And they come down to one person, I think. It's Rowan and Scott for keeping them on, and Dan for keeping them on. It feels really bad to say this. It feels really personal, and at this point, it's really not. They need to fire Rowan. They're holding Lee and Trevor back, and they're the ones spearheading every single mistake they make with regards to rules and regards to figures and things. So if there's a petition that gets going, I will link that in the description as well. That may be another day or two, but keep an eye out for that. And at least you'll be aware of it now. It will probably originate on heroscapers.org, but I'm sure people will share it to Facebook and Discord. I would like to see the petition be more than just rule changes. You know what? This is not my first time signing a petition to get some Renegade rulings overturned either. That's how bad things have been for the last year. So, all right, I think that's enough of me talking. This video is already so long. So if you stuck around, thank you so much. Thank you so much. I hope these rulings get overturned. They're so terrible. Obviously, they'll never be adopted by the community. ScapeCon has already gone against it. And everything will kind of continue on as normal, unfortunately, except at Renegade official events, which are going to die before they even are born. Yeah, feel free to share this video with the hashtag #SaveHeroscape. Feel free to send this video to Renegade. I'll send it to all their employees directly. But Scott G is the one that matters. That Scott G needs to see this. He needs to see how he is ruining his reputation. He's ruining the game, and he's ruining goodwill with this community. And it's because of one person. So, with that being said, I'm going to sign off. Thank you so much if you watched this far. It really means a lot to me. Now I'm going to go count up all of the cards of Morrow drones I have, and see if I can count that high. Bye.